news was only yesterday. I wonder if you think that it's now the next day plus, and there being no public announcement yet about a press conference for this is like long enough to make you wonder about whether there will be one or whether they want there to be one. I mean, would you think by today or maybe by tomorrow they would at least have an announcement for us?
Yes. Last year, when the Bills lost on a Sunday, their postseason press conference with McDermott and Beane all occurred on Thursday. This is a different situation, obviously, because they fired the head coach. So generally, you would hear from the team after that anyway, on top of the fact that it's the postseason. There is an NFL media access policy, which does read, every team is required to have an open locker room for interviews the day after the season ends, and 2, to hold a news conference during the week following the end of its season with its head coach and or chief executive and or club president and or general manager. So that's got to happen at some point.
Okay. All right.
So the fact that it hasn't happened yet, sure, I think that a lot of us are wondering why. But I also know they just fired their coach, and I'm sure that they're trying to get their ducks in a row, and they have a lot going on to try and get. They're late to the party here for the coach search, right? I mean, everybody else who fired their coach did it a while ago. So I want to respect that. And okay, like they're going to try. They have to get interviews lined up and things like that. At some point, we're going to hear from Brandon Beane. My guess is it'll be in the next couple of days. We have not heard anything about when yet.
They did get around today to releasing a Twitter, like a thank you, Coach McDermott.
Yay.
And even that took longer than I thought it should have, but, what do I know?
I wouldn't care at all about that. I mean, usually I would just not care at all about that.
No, it would blend in with the wallpaper if they sent it. If they don't, then it becomes, to me, a thing, is how I would say it.
It's just like what yesterday became a story. And without that, this just goes right by me. But the awkwardness of the release yesterday makes this interesting, I guess, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, well, so it's interesting to know that about the rules. Like, I didn't think that they could just wait until they hire a new coach, because that would be really awkward too. Like, you trying to just blow past the fact that you dismissed McDermott and like the new guy's here. Come on, we're here to talk about the new guy. So that'll have to happen. I don't know what the repercussions are.
I will tell you, I have no idea what the ramifications are.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, what happens?
You know what I mean?
Do they get fined?
I don't know.
Right? Does Roger Goodell call them and yell at them? Like, I don't know what happens.
Do all the media get a couple extra free meals next time we're down there? I don't know. Like to make up for it. I mean, I really don't know what the ramifications would be, but that is written in the NFL media access policy. Yes.
Well, I would ask you this about Brandon Beane at this point, because you and we still get reminders of what happened with him and our morning show in April. Like that, even nationally, that has lasted as a story. And, maybe you see Beane often enough or talk to him. I don't know. Like, he doesn't do a lot of, local media at least, or at least during the season. What do you think his mindset might be right now? Like, if he's got his ear to the radio station, it's not pretty. And it's not that long since Beane sort of was the subject of any sort of scorn or criticism. Really, he's had a pretty smooth trip in 9 years. Do you have any thought as to how he might be feeling, or is he going to, whenever this does happen, would you expect him to come out defiant or maybe more humble, or just what?
Well, I think it would be totally reckless for me to try to tell you how he's feeling. I don't think that's my place. But I would tell you that knowing Brandon Beane, how I know him, being in press conferences with him, I think he's always been the same kind of person, no matter the ups or downs or highs or lows or endings of seasons or start of seasons, whatever, which is talk about, saying, hey, I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that. And, he has always been one to, I guess you'd say, take accountability, if you will, of, okay, maybe, no, that's on me. I have to figure out how to get better at this position or something like that. Other than the WGR interview with media itself, I can't really remember a time where he's been that aggressive. Although I will tell you that, and you guys remember, he's been that way to defend Buffalo in media press conferences. I remember that a couple years ago. He defended Josh Allen like that in a press conference a couple years ago. So he's definitely got, he's got his antenna up sometimes with things like this. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting. If he was to go to a press conference this week and really dig his heels in and get very defensive, I don't think that would help him at all.
Me too. Me neither.
I think that if he was humble and contrite about, how the season went down and, McDermott being fired and losing somebody that meant so much to the organization and things like that, I think that would, obviously play to his favor a little bit more. You're right about the juxtaposition of him, though, for sure. Where, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, it was all about, fans just really wanting to, get McDermott out of here for the most part, a lot of fans, but Beane, he had been kind of, I don't know, not really a source of that criticism or the arrow of it, I should say, the aim of it. That's really changed over the last 24 hours with a lot of fans and a lot of the fan base. So I'm interested too. I really don't know what to expect from the press conference. I don't think it would be right of me to say how he's feeling, though.
Yeah, well,
it is being reported that it'll be tomorrow morning.
Yeah, what are you doing at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Sal? Someone's got to fill in for extra point because you're going to be at the stadium.
With the owner.
Well, we already did. We've already had that going on. They did today too. I joined them, but yeah.
Right. With the owner.
But we'll carry it live during that point.
The thing that has me shook here. Oh, sorry.
With the owner.
Right, Terry Pegula
tomorrow.
And Brandon Beane, it says. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd like to think that means he'll actually take questions. That's not happened very often in the last years.
Right.
Pegula.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, I just got the alert as well, guys. Thank you for telling me. Here I have it. Here it says Terry Pegula and Brandon Beane available in the Bills media room at 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
Just in case, Bulldog, you're going in a different direction, I just want to say, not that I'm here to advise Beane, but this is an easy one. And to Sal's point about how it would go over if he were sort of combative at all, he has to remember he's in the chair, right? No matter what anybody says. And it's actually more secure than it was 2 days ago, it seems. So he's the guy in the chair. You can act like it. You don't have to, fight for. He hasn't always been this way either, but he shouldn't have the attitude that he's trying to prove anything in a press conference. He's actually in the chair. Like, he shouldn't ever need to do that.
Yeah. I was just going to add, I was not really changing the subject here, but fine, that most of the fan sentiment right now, I think, Sal, is largely self-inflicted because of the way they handled not telling us when they were going to talk, not thanking McDermott, the typo, the mistake in the statement to begin with. Like the whole thing, and then I've got the big guys on national TV. Is NFL Network national TV? Anyway, I got the big guys like McDermott was pushing back against the roster and all this talent and couldn't get over the hump and all this sort of stuff that, like, I think the fan base, even people who I think were sort of fatigued, if not flat out just done with McDermott, are feeling like they're getting spin doctored here, and like we didn't watch the season unfold, and like we didn't see the last two passes of the season go to McCole Hardman and Brandon Cooks, who, like, what did Hardman play? 6 snaps for the Bills all year? Cooks wasn't even here until Thanksgiving. Like, so this idea that, McDermott failed despite all these luxuries that were provided to him, man, a lot of that is tough to take. And so I feel like they've made it worse by trying to spin it. And I think the savvy fan base is sort of, yeah, dude, no. So I'm very curious to hear and see what tomorrow sounds and feels like. But I'm shook by the fact that they couldn't do this in a way that would be, more appreciative of what McDermott meant to the franchise. And ending the drought and the 9 years and developing Allen and becoming a perennial Super Bowl team. Like, we can all understand that everything comes to an end and you can't just keep doing the same thing. As much as I supported McDermott, I understand wanting to do something different. I just think they were kind of crass about the whole thing. And they didn't need to be. Just like Beane didn't need to call the morning show and raise the stink he raised. Or maybe tell Tom Pelissero that he almost traded for Jalen Waddle this fall. Like, there's just stuff that they've done to themselves that makes me worry about this whole machine moving forward, honestly.
There's certainly reparations that have to be done here, right, with the fan base, right? There's certainly some goodwill that's been lost here from people that had it. and I think need to regain the trust, regain that goodwill. Like I said, I do think that, all that being said, you asked me earlier, Mike, what Brandon Beane, thinks about everything being said. I don't know, but I would tell you that, I don't think you make this move if you're Brandon Beane and have a plan in place to, we're going to hire somebody that's going to take a couple years. If anything, I think he probably is feeling the pressure and understands completely, like, the next coach has to win. Like, I need, and now that it's on him as the president of football ops, as still the general manager for however long that lasts. He's got to make this work, and I think in a way, despite all these things we're saying, and you're saying, Bulldog, that could be a real good thing for the Buffalo Bills on the field, right? Which is he's got to make this work. He's got to be aggressive. He's got to show that he was right in this. You know what I mean? And, like, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to change out the coach because he's saying that, I didn't give him enough talent or whatever, well, I got to show him that the next guy, I was right, that the next guy does have enough talent to win. Well, how do you do that? You make sure you give him a really good roster. So I think in that regard, that's got to come, in some way, shape, or form. I think for Sean, though, you go back and think about all the things that led up to the trade deadline, the things that were said, what Sean said. I mean, it's clear to me after thinking about it for the last, 48 hours, I think Sean McDermott, it was calculated in some way, which is, look, I'm going to go down swinging. I'm going to do my best here to win a Super Bowl with what's been given to me, even though I don't think I have what's been given enough to do it. I'm going to try my ass off to win a Super Bowl. And along the way, I'm going to let it be known that I'm trying my ass off to win a Super Bowl with what's been given to me. And you know what? If I don't, I could be out of here because I'm going to have to let it be known that that's the case. If that all makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Similar to how I was talking about Beane a minute ago, I'm not saying you would disagree with this. I doubt that you would, but his reputation is pretty good too. Like, McDermott shouldn't have to worry. He shouldn't have to be, too loud on what, didn't go right for him, or whether that's a call or something about the roster that he didn't really sign up for, or agree with. I mean, I think he leaves Buffalo with an excellent reputation, is all I'm saying. And I would expect him to get interviews and a job if he wants one. Would you not say the same?
Sean McDermott?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if this had happened 2 weeks ago, he'd have a job by now. I think that there are other teams that jobs are drying up, but certainly should be in the mix still. And if he really wants to coach again, he could maybe do it this year. I think the only thing that would prevent him this year, Mike, is people already down that process, right? That are already going and figuring out who they want. Yeah, and but he could do what Vrabel did last year and go work for a team for a year and then, be a consultant, then go back into coaching and get a job. That could easily happen. So absolutely. I think Sean McDermott is going to coach again, and I think he will be a good coach again somewhere. Like, I think about teams that could use someone to turn around their organization like the Buffalo Bills did, and I think he would be a great fit there. Joe Brady interviewed in Arizona today. Sean McDermott could do that. I think he'd fit really well in Cleveland, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we ran through a few of these yesterday. Even the Raiders, the Raiders need what McDermott can offer. I'm just not sure that it works in Las Vegas with that owner, but I think they could use it. Cleveland agree, certainly on that list. It would be something if he were to end up in Pittsburgh after Tomlin having been there so long, with them having known each other since college. That would really be wild. Not that they need a culture overhaul necessarily, Pittsburgh, but they could view that as kind of a continuation of Mike Tomlin, I feel like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Baltimore would be incredible.
Yes.
Right?
Baltimore would really be incredible.
Well, he's obviously in a different position than he was when he took the Bills job. You take the Bills job, no matter what kind of drought we're talking about, who knows what this owner is, but I want to be in the room. I want to be in the club, rather. And so he takes the Bills job. Not that it was just that simple, but now I think he can afford to be choosy. And I don't know. I wouldn't listen to the Raiders or maybe even the Browns. It's just I don't know. I need to get some air first. Yeah. And then maybe I'll have a better landing spot potentially next year.
The way a lot of this was reading overnight, Sal, and even early this morning, I know I saw one tweet from Diana Rossini that said, expect to see names soon. and we're through a whole nother day here, and there still haven't
Nothing,
been
right?
any, not even I'm waiting for any, give me a Jordan Schultz or anybody with like a picture of some coordinator, some from somewhere. Now, I do know, how the rules work. I did lock this down, at least this part of it. The guys that are all coaching this weekend, you can't talk to them now, and the guys who win this weekend, you then cannot talk to until after the Super Bowl. So whoever loses, like if they want to talk to the Rams passing game coordinator, Sheil Haas or Kubiak, one of them loses Sunday, then you can do that right away. Same with Denver, right? That's where Davis Webb is, quarterback's coach. Same deal there. I don't know that there's a candidate worth talking about on the New England staff at this point that I can think of. So there is that. Like, at least guys that you'd expect them to maybe at least want to talk to, maybe they don't have access to, so what's the point of leaking out that we want to talk to so-and-so if you can't do it until Monday at the earliest and maybe even for 2 weeks after that?
Doug Marrone is on the Patriots staff, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is part of the issue of waiting this long, by the way, which, of course, because the Bills were winning. You weren't going to fire Sean McDermott after Week 18, but this is part of the issue, which is the guys who win this week, as you said, Bulldog, you can't talk to until after the Super Bowl, but you could have talked to them 2 weeks ago.
Right. That's right. There was a window.
Like Joe Brady was getting talked to. Like, he had an interview. He did an interview a couple weeks ago leading into the first playoff game. But once that started, you can't anymore. So now that the Bills are past that point when they fired their coach, they're already past the point of starting to get people in for interviews, which then they could circle back to after they were to maybe get to the Super Bowl.
I'm not being jerky by asking this. Can you talk to their agent?
Yeah, I don't think you. Yeah. I don't think you can interview them, Mike.
Right, but you could find out, like, hey, is your guy?
Just don't. do anything.
Yeah. You could.
Just tell
I think
the
you could
agent,
do that. You just can't interview them.
Don't do anything until you talk to me. That's what you tell the agent.
I think you could do that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
enough.
just simply about the actual interview process. I don't think it's jerky. I think that's a real good question. I think you could express your
contact.
interest.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right.
That's good enough.
Yeah. That's a way that you should maybe be seeing names by now. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just going to be very close to the vest. We did not hear about any friction between the Bills, within the brass there, between McDermott and Beane and Pegula, until specifically today, Vic Carucci noting 5 weeks ago there was this meeting where McDermott talked about, it seems rather frankly, what he thought the flaws were, and that the other two men there, the owner and the GM, did not appreciate his frankness. Maybe McDermott thought he was on more solid footing than he was, Sal, when he was talking that way to them. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Or no, I think it goes back to what I said to you guys a little while ago. I think he just put his cards out there.
Yeah.
He's like, look, if anything, no matter what you think about Sean McDermott, I'm telling you, like, he's an honest dude. Like, he's going to tell you where you stand. Sean McDermott, when he let go of Eric Ciano last year, right? He was the strength and conditioning coach, right? And those guys were like really good friends. And I saw Sean at the combine and we talked about it. And he said that hurt him to do that. He said, but Sal, I'm not doing my job if I don't do everything I have to be honest with myself and the people I'm in charge of. And I have to, and he had to make the move. Like, he felt he had to make it. And the point I'm making is, I just think he's honest. And if that means he feels he's on solid footing or not solid footing, I don't think he cared. He needed to say what he had to say. And obviously at that point, that doesn't sit well with the people that, are running the organization or picking the players and feel like, and then every time you go public, like when you come on, again, this goes back to Sean, he might be honest, but he's calculated. He knows what he's doing when he talks about Jacoby Myers, right? A few times.
Yes.
And I just got the sense of that had to be like, I'm just going down swinging. You know what? I didn't get what I wanted, and I'm going to show you to win a Super Bowl. And if I don't win a Super Bowl, I'm telling everybody on the way out that I can get what I wanted. And if that cost me my job, that cost me my job. And maybe that wasn't the right way to do it for him.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, Aaron Cromer, Sal?
Retiring?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But with this move, guys, there's going to be a lot of changes on staff. Without the move, it would have been a really big loss for the Bills. Aaron Cromer is a terrific offensive line coach. Good for him. His son is the assistant offensive line coach for the Rams. Not sure people know that. He wanted to retire young enough, from what I understand, to go watch his son coach and enjoy life, and that's great for him. Austin Gund is his assistant, who's thought of very highly inside the Bills room amongst offensive linemen. But at this point, guys, all bets are off as far as the staff. Once they get a new coach, then we'll see. I mean, Bobby Babish, Joe Brady, all the assistants. I think anything can happen now.
It's tough for the assistants right now because they kind of have to wait.
Right.
And spots are filling.
Right. And Hope McDermott, is McDermott going to take a job? If he does he want to take me with him? Do
Correct.
I want to go? What does my wife think? There's a lot. Yeah.
Will it be warmer than 5 degrees wherever this other place? Very good. Thank you, Sal.
You got it, guys.
There's Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearances are brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Maybe there are